Hello everybody. Today I am headed over to Henderson Park here in Washington County, the birthplace of Texas. And I'm going to do this video about Henderson Park. And let me tell you what happened. 11 days ago, I did a video about Fireman's Park. And I plan on doing a little video about all the parks in Brenham. We have quite a few. And Fireman's Park is right across the street from Henderson Park. And just in the natural order of things, it seemed like the one to do next. So in preparation of making a video about Henderson Park, I thought it would be a good idea to go do a little research. Maybe find some details. How many acres is it on? How long is the walking trail? Things like that, you know. And what I found was kind of amazing. And it's going to be more about a man, Mr. Ed Henderson. He was known as Daddy Ed. And I guess you could say he's the father of this park. And it is, in my opinion, a very interesting story. And as I show you around the park, I'll tell you the story. And I think you're gonna like this. This is some really good history here. So here we are on the, let's see, this would be, that's south, that's north. We are on the west side of Henderson Park in the parking lot here, and I'm just gonna start from this location and show you around this end of the park and talk about how it came to be. Here we go. Off we go. So one of the features here at Henderson Park is an F-111A, an Air Force fighter jet that the Washington County Veterans Association, I believe, had placed here through their efforts. It's a pretty cool thing, I got to tell you. And it is dedicated to 10 brave airmen who lost their lives in Operation Linebacker 2 and Constant Guard 5 in North Vietnam. And 2 other airmen who were taken POW, they survived. It's pretty brave souls there. And this aircraft is pretty impressive. It makes me think of the one. I grew up in an area near Beeville, Texas. And in Beeville, near Beeville was Chase Field, which was a naval air station. It was for training Navy pilots. And the planes, and I'm pretty sure this designated that the aircraft was a training aircraft. They were orange and white, but they were pretty cool looking. And they placed one on the courthouse square or outside of the courthouse there in Beeville. As far as I know, it's still there today. Chase Field was shut down a long time ago. But anyway, I think this is a pretty cool thing to have in the park here. So I'm going to get back to the history of this park. Around 1880, people started congregating on some part of this property, and they got together to celebrate Emancipation, Juneteenth. And at some point after that, the property came to be owned by a man named Daddy Ed Henderson. And Daddy Ed had a vision of it becoming more than just a place people met once a year. He thought there should be a place where people could have reunions, celebrations, events, and he set about making that happen. And through his efforts and the use of his property, Ed Henderson, I have read. All of these are things that I've read, gathered from about 4 different websites, and kind of pieced the information together. He was an entrepreneur and apparently a pretty hardworking man and a man of great character to try to do this for his community. And he managed restaurants in the area. Anyway, he had this property and he developed it, and they started having things here, and it grew through the years. Eventually, well, they had boxing matches here. They had, in 1930, started having what was then known, you have to remember, this is in the days of Jim Crow laws, segregation. They had what was known as the Colored County Fair. And it was what you would expect from any county fair. They had a rodeo and music with dancing and a carnival and a parade, the whole works. And I think it was in 1934, everybody's heard of the Negro Leagues, right? Baseball, when baseball was segregated up until the time that Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. 2 days of the Negro World Series were held right here in what is now known as Henderson Park. Back then, originally, after it got to be considered a park at some time, it was always known as North End Park. And they had boxing matches here. And so going back to the Negro World Series, it was a team from Austin, Texas, and a team from Sioux City, Iowa. And I guess they played where they could and moved around maybe so different people could see the games. At the website that I read this on, it just said that 2 days of that World Series were held here. It doesn't go on to say where the rest of it was, but pretty incredible history. Let's take a look at this here, and we'll get back to the history after we have a look at this. The splash pad was added a few years back, and when I see this, I think back to when I was a kid, and they're around Pettus and Toledo, Texas, the area I grew up. We didn't have anything like this. Hot days in the summer, what you had was a water hose. And every now and then, you know, a sprinkler. And if you got real lucky, hey, once in a while, somebody would have a slip and slide. And slip and slide was really cool. Start out with 2 or 3 kids going to do the slip and slide. And pretty soon, every kid that came walking down the street, or everybody that found out about it, there'd be 10 or 12 kids lined up doing the slip and slide. The problem with slip and slides was you always had to be aware that somebody's mom or dad might step out. Let me interrupt for a second. This right here, if you are within the hours that this is active, you can push this button and you will get water. But I pushed the button and nothing happened, so we must be outside those hours. It's a weekday in the middle of the afternoon, the Thursday afternoon. But anyway, slip and slide took continuous flow of water, right? So somebody'd come out and say, hey, y'all need to shut that down. You use enough water already. Water costs money and all that. The smart parents, real thinkers, would say, hey, you can do the slip and slide as long as you move it around every 15 or 20 minutes and you got the grass watered. We got nice benches here. Over there, so I told you that at one time, Mr. Henderson's pecan orchard, there are still pecan trees all over this park, huge pecan trees. And of course, at the right time of year, you can come and gather all the pecans you want. And that'll do it for the splash pad. I bet that thing right there makes quite a waterfall coming down off of there. I'd like to come over here when this thing's working sometime. I've never actually seen it when the water's flowing. So back to the history. Let's see. I can't even remember where I was. So in the 1930s, in 1937, I think, at that time, Ed Henderson had built what he called the clubhouse. And I don't know how many years it existed, but it burned down, I read. But being the wise man that he was, he had insurance and it was rebuilt. We'll have a look at that shortly. And dead ahead here, I'm going to cut across the grass. By the way, the hiking and biking trail within this park, I read, is a total of 2.2 miles. And I'm proud to say I'm going to walk a good bit, some of that today. And not that long ago, I could not have done this. I had surgery to get more blood flow to my legs, and I've lost over 60 pounds. It feels good to be able to get out and walk for a good distance and not be in extreme pain. So there's a couple of basketball courts, or I guess you could say it's 4 mini basketball courts, and more benches and barbecue pit. I don't know, I never seen anybody like cook hamburgers while they're playing basketball, but you never know. Could be. Why not? So I think that over there is called the Henderson Park Kitchen. And I think I'm going to get back to the truck and drive around to this parking lot, and we'll go look around that area. So back shortly. You can rent this kitchen for your family reunion or get together with your buddies, NFL football watching party, I don't know, whatever you want to do. And here's a pit here. You cook up some good ribs or burgers or whatever your heart desires, steaks. Nice looking stone pit. And I understand that inside this, the Brenham Henderson Park kitchen, there is a stove, an oven, and refrigerator, and a sink, and everything you would need to prepare food and things like that. Hi, how are you? I'm making a YouTube video about Henderson Park.
Oh, great.
So we have here, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 sections of picnic table for your guests. And back here in my Fireman's Park video, I pointed out how nice it was to have a playground that had a cover over it for shade. But here they don't need that because it's surrounded by huge pecan trees. Another little pit over here. And over here we have men's and ladies' restrooms. And there is a swing set. We got 2 spots for the tater tots and 4 regular swings, I guess, for bigger kids or grown-ups. Should we? Oh, come on. Should we? Why not? Let's do it. Okay, let's see. I'm filming with the GoPro strapped to my chest. New thing for me. And it has stabilization. You're not supposed to see, you know, like when I'm bouncing around walking and everything. Well, let's see what happens when I swing. Man, how could a small kid get on this thing? It's high. Whoops. There we go. Okay. Just a swinging. Yep. There we go. Enough of that. Being silly, Todd. Okay, we got slides and monkey bars and stuff to climb on. Didn't have no playground set like that when I was a kid either. We did have a merry-go-round in the playground at our elementary school, and I think more than one kid got a pretty good sized splinter on that thing. It was getting pretty rotten by the time it met the end of its life. And we had what we call monkey bars, weren't like a what? Oh, I'm sorry, she corrected me. This is Henderson Park, not Fireman's Park. I'm sorry, I already did Fireman's Park. I got it, thank you very much. Okay, so if you need to use the restroom, you gotta go over there anytime, day or night?
Yes.
And these are always locked.
Unless the van is being rented.
Yeah, they're probably reserved for the people that paid money to rent the building.
Exactly.
That makes sense to me. You have a wonderful rest of your day. My name's Todd, by the way.
Oh, I'm Kim. You have a great day.
Kim?
Yes.
All right, Kim, nice to meet you. Okay, that was Kim, everybody. And she was letting me know I must have misspoke and called this Fireman's Park. For that, I apologize, and I probably won't edit that out. As you will see in Brenham, which is something else that I would have never dreamed of in my youth, is more covered spectator seating for the ball fields. I think this is one of 3 ball fields in Henderson Park, and it is beautiful, well manicured, like all of them are here in Brenham. Our city does a wonderful job. The parks the Parks and Recreation Department, I believe it is. And these fields, I believe, are dedicated to softball, but also for softball and our Little League. Okay, so you can see the pit coming up here. So we've made the circle around the kitchen. I don't know if I mentioned it. It is $75 for half a day and $150 for the full day. And you may have noticed when I pulled my truck in over there that there is reserved a certain amount of parking spots that are reserved for you and your guests. There's the concession stand, and Kim says that those restrooms are always open. So if you need to use the restroom, that's where you need to go, folks. And I think that's it for this area of the park. Let's go around to the north side and see what we see. I happen to know there is something interesting over there. All right. Okay, I am going to take you along for the ride between Henderson Park South and Henderson Park North. And you may have seen that was Kim. She went back, she's sitting at the table again. And I turned my camera off pretty early on into a subsequent conversation I had with her after the one about the name of the park and the restrooms. And I would say Kim needs some help, and I pray that she gets that help. She was telling me that there's a lot of crazy effing people around here, and she didn't use the short version, she said it out, and she was very enthusiastic in the way she said it. And she said they sleep in the trees in the park, in Henderson Park, and you have to watch out for them and to not be ever coming over here at night, because the crazy people in the trees are dangerous. So in a very diplomatic way, I politely exited that conversation. And apparently Kim's having some issues. Anyway, back to Henderson Park. I don't know, I just thought to show you around Brenham, and across the street there, that is Fireman's Park, that I've already done one video of. But I will say this: when I didn't do any research or look into things about Fireman's Park before I went over there, and I did one video, just the park in general, and one about the antique carousel, the hobby horse carousel. And in doing my research for this video, the Henderson Park video, I discovered that I totally missed it on Fireman's Park. it has some very rich history too. It is, well, I'll save that for Fireman's Park Part 2, or deeper into Fireman's Park, or whatever I'm going to call it. But there's some cool stuff that happened there, and how it all came about. We are on Bluebell Road. If we kept going and looped around to the other side of Brenham, I guess it would be the east side, we would come to the Bluebell Creamery. I haven't had any Bluebell this year. That's the one thing I probably missed the most was my diet. And I have eaten no sugar this year. No pie, no cake, no cookies, no ice cream, no, what do you call it, processed sugar. I've had some natural sugar, you know, and that's just in foods you eat. So here we are, and that is the Tomlinson Creek Bridge. The two ball fields over here on this side, Fink Field and Courtower Field. I hope that I pronounced that properly. And let's get out and look around and find out this little bit of the history of this bridge. It is a very historic bridge. Here we go. As I had mentioned, I'm filming this using a GoPro Hero 10 Black. And it's strapped to my chest. And this is kind of an experiment. Hope it works out. Walk across the bridge here. There is a historical marker here on the other side. And if we look down here, let me step up on the pipes. That is Higgins Creek. And that building over there is Higgins Branch. I've mentioned them before in videos. So that place is a lot like Goodwill. You can donate things. On the other side of, well, actually here and on the other side of town, they have a much bigger place. It used to be the JCPenney. They have a store. It's like a resale shop, and all the nicer stuff, things that they can sell, they do, and they raise money to fund a lot of charitable activities that they do in Brenham. They help out people in need quite a bit. And they also ship clothing and other items all over the world to help the needy. So it's pretty good, a non-profit organization, and it's a part of what is known as Faith Mission. So anyway, this is Higgins Creek. And I guess this is the Higgins Branch, is why that's named Higgins Branch, the store. Anyway, so I hope my camera's pointed at that. The Tomlinson Creek Bridge, 78 feet 9 inches long. I'm not going to read all of this, but it was built between 1890 and 1891 by the Missouri Valley Bridge and Iron Works in Leavenworth, Kansas. And it has served the people of Washington and Burleson counties for over a century. It's the last Missouri Valley Bridge. Let's see. The original, the original location of the bridge was on the old Brenham Caldwell Road until 1926, when it was moved to Tomlinson Creek Road. And then it looks like in 1994 it was moved here. And there you go, Tomlinson Creek Bridge. As you can see, these baseball / softball fields are just as well manicured as the other one. And off goes the walking trail there. The trail pretty much follows the creek over to the other side. And I believe that will about do it for Henderson Park. I think I'll close out by saying I want to tell you something. I've using my iPhone. I've been over here. I haven't posted a video in 9 days. That one was about the antique Victrola record player. And 11 days ago, I did the Fireman's Park video. And in those 11 days since the Fireman's Park video, I've been trying to create this video. And I have been over here at least 4 or 5 times and filmed with my iPhone. And I get home and I watch it, and I just didn't do a good job. I don't think it does a good present. I don't think they were a good representation of what Mr. Henderson did. And for him to have the vision that he did, to be such a community leader, I think I could have talked just about Ed Henderson and what a great citizen he was of Brenham, but it wouldn't do it justice unless I showed you the park that came to be from, I guess, the seed he planted. There's some more of his pecan trees from his orchard. They're not all pecan trees, but some of them are. And I think that'll end it. We need more people in this world like Daddy Ed Henderson, I can tell you that. So until next time, adios, my friends.